Welcome back, YouTube. We're back past the prop Wednesday edition. Obviously, you guys know what we do today. We're coming at you guys with our favorite bets for Thursday Night Football and our fantasy and DFS spots for this week. Joined as always by my guy Stu. What's good, man?
Yeah, nothing much, man. Obviously, a little slow start to the week. Nice Monday Night Football to get us going, even though it wasn't the best game in the world, obviously. And now we have a game I'm super pumped for. I know some people in the chat are super pumped for. That also happens to be because we have a weird Chicago, highly, large Chicago audience in the chat that roots for the Bears. And then I'm like the only person in the world that cares about the Commanders. So it feels like one of those games that a lot of people aren't going to give a shit about. But to me, I'd much rather watch two bad teams battle it out than a blowout in national TV. So for me, I'm pumped for this game. I think we're going to get a lot of fantasy points. I think we're going to get a lot of, prop betting wins this week. And I think it's going to be a surprisingly entertaining game. So I'm pumped up. I think we have a good week here, and I'm excited to talk bets.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. I guess that's what I will say as my words. Yeah, kind of been all over the place in terms of spread, in terms of odds, in terms of all of that. But we got to talk about Monday Night Football. We got to talk about the game there as well. Is Daniel Jones the worst quarterback in football now?
No, man. No, he's not. I saw some of those replays. Not a single person was winning on the offensive line on some of those snaps. He was not being rushed by one guy. Every single guy on the line lost their one-on-one battle. That's when you get sacked 9-10 times, at a certain point, the quarterback does bear a bit of responsibility, but man, he was never going to succeed in that game. I don't think we can go. I think I'd still take Daniel Jones easily over Zach Wilson, over Desmond Ridder. Easily. It's not even a question. This guy almost took this trash team to the fucking playoffs last year. Come on. Easily.
Hey, Zach Wilson making those back shoulder throws, baby. It's over now. Zach Wilson, best quarterback in New York. Even probably Aaron Rodgers one leg I take over Daniel Jones' dumbass. I can't watch that shit, bro. I couldn't watch that at the end. How you throw a pick on the 4-yard line, bro?
Yeah, that wasn't great. That wasn't great. I'm not saying
there was no pressure there. There was no pressure there.
Hey, I'm not saying
fast. Get your ass out of there. Run away.
A phenomenal quarterback. This is a division rival. I mean, not much of a rival. They haven't done shit in the last 10 years. They won the Super Bowl. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The point is, Daniel Jones is bad, sure, but he's not terrible. He didn't deserve that contract, obviously, but he is not Desmond Ridder, Zach Wilson level quarterback yet.
Hey, Zach Wilson, baby. I'm on the Zach Wilson train, baby. If I can have more fantasy points throughout this whole season than Daniel Jones, I'll take that one to the bank, bro, which is sad to say for a running quarterback in Daniel Jones. But I'm on that Zach Wilson hype train now, baby. He might be finding his way into some DFS lineups this week, which is tough to say. But we got to talk about our bets. Didn't go well for either one of us. Gino, good old injury. I think I'm 3 for 3 on injuries in prime time when I'm actually pretty invested. Obviously, my boy Metcalf told you went under everything, bro, unless he went for his touchdown. When somebody is bet that much, dude, it might just be a primetime fade, bro. And I might just do that. And that's my explanation on the show because it was everybody and their mom on 63.5 receiving yards. I'm like, I can't even bet him, bro. I won't even bet him because I saw everybody on him. And I should just bet the under, but I thought I could avoid it. Darren Waller is the biggest waste of money I've ever seen. They just don't even use him. Why would you pay him that much money and not even throw him the ball? Right. And he was throwing into contested coverage on Isaiah Hodgins when Darren Waller is fucking right there across the middle. I'm like, Darren Waller must have done something to this man. I don't know if Daniel Jones' girl got taken or what, but something happened and he ain't throwing him the ball.
Yeah, no, this is a bit of a rough game. I lost my oh yeah, if we still want to complain about Waller here. The thing is, you got to remember he was chipping a lot. If you rewatch the game back, they asked him to chip and block at the line of scrimmage, which is hilarious because he's a wide receiver and he's never been once asked to do that in his life. But a little bit more context to how bad that offensive line is, that they're essentially asking their jumbo wide receiver to block at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, let's just put that in the tally mark of Zach Wilson being better than Daniel Jones, right? He throws it to his best player, right? He throws it to Garrett Wilson. Don't matter.
If you're a Garrett Wilson fantasy owner in the Zach Wilson era, you've lost every league you're in. He fed him 5 catches for 40 yards last week. Congrats. I mean, come on.
Hey, I was just like, man, I think this guy threw the ball, 35 times? How many targets do you have? 15? I bet you Garrett Wilson had 15 targets in it.
But I'm just saying, like, we gotta calm down with this Zach Wilson love. I don't know where this is coming from. I said on the show Monday, the worst thing about that game was that Zach Wilson's probably going to start for the rest of the year now because of it. I'd rather him just flamed out and saw Trevor Siemian this week because he'll have a good week again. The worst part,
he's gonna nuke him this week, bro. He's gonna nuke him.
Yeah, he gets the fucking Broncos this week. He'll probably look a little bit better on paper. You're gonna dunk on me on next week's show, and then let's revisit this in week 10 and see how we feel. That's all I gotta say. Let's clip it right now. You can victory lap next week against the Broncos, and then we'll come back and revisit in week 10 and see how it's going.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, I'm ready for it. You got Daniel Jones heading to Miami this week, so we'll see. And then Myers missing a 50-yarder, right? 50-yarder, 53.
And then Carroll not going for it. I mean, that's the whole. Even the commentators were like, "Oh wow, Pete Carroll is not kicking a field goal." What that? He went for it on 4th and 1 on like the 28, and they didn't get it. So that was fun. Yeah, no shit. This one sucked. This game sucked. It was just a terrible game. Nobody won any bets. Ugh, just a shit show. I did say in the Zach Wilson era. It's dating back to last season as well.
Well, Daniel Jones still sucks. That's all I'll say. Even though I don't know if it's a fight between him and Howell there at the bottom. I don't know which one we're going with there, but we'll get to that game. We'll get over here. 17 of you guys in here, hit that like button if you could. Stu, we got Thursday Night Football to talk about a little bit here before we head in. I got to make sure we send out our updated numbers. Obviously, losing 1.5 units on that game again. We both said that game was dog, but you got to make a play. We got to make a play here. It don't matter. This one is not that much better. So I know you love it, even though this game sucks, really. But, Stu, what do you think about this game? Try to take your bias out of it. We got a six-point favorite in the Commanders, 5.5 on a lot of books, 44.5 total. Again, you pick one of the 4 sides. Which one are you leaning with here in this game?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get the bias out the way. If I had to bet one, gun to my head, I'm taking the Commanders on the spread in this one. Just because the total, I feel like I've been killing totals this year, but I only like one total a week. You know what I mean? And this is not it. Like I think I would lean over just because both defenses have been so inconsistent, but then also trusting both of these offenses to go over is crazy. So for me, that was kind of, I'm just going to leave that alone. So at the end of the day, it's between these two teams. But my first reaction to this was very simple. We're really doing this again? We saw what happened with the Cardinals week 1. We're going to lay Commanders as 5.5 or 6-point favorites. I was hoping this line would be 4.5. That was kind of my goal. Maybe you can buy down to 4 and get a responsible number because I think this is going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it'll be the fastest paced game in the world. I think both teams are going to try to establish the run fairly early. We're going to see all 4 running backs used fairly often in this matchup. So I'm expecting, like I said, a competitive game. I think it'll be a close game. I think the Commanders do win. I think they're the better team. I think they'll probably be in control. I think turnover differential is a big thing you want to look at for this one. Can we trust Justin Fields down, towards the end of the game? He has not shown that so far this year, right? Pretty much every time he could throw an interception, it's been a unfortunate pick 6 at the end of the game. So for me, the Washington defense, has some turnover generating ability, strong defensive line that's going to be in Justin Fields' face all the time. What's the weakness of this Washington team? It's very simple. It's the offensive line. The Bears are one of the worst teams in the league in pressure rate dating back to last year. New unit, same problem. So for me, I don't think they can fully take advantage of Washington's weakness enough for them to win this game.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, I lean over just because I don't think both defenses are. I have no thoughts on this game except I think it's closer than this. I said it. I went through action and went through their spread throughout, and on Monday it was 7. Right on Monday it was 7. It was there for a full day. If it would have been 7, I'd probably take the Bears. But I like that money's coming in on the Bears a little bit here because if it gets any lower, I'll probably move over. Take a 5 on that. I want that those nice numbers like that. But my God, dude, I don't know, man. I do not want to make a bet on any of these sides. Gun to my head, give me Bears money line just because it's plus 260 and I don't have to worry about anything else. because I don't want to bet on the spread. I don't want to bet on the over-under. But if I'm going to get 2.5 to 1 on a game that I think is going to be ugly as hell, I think I could do worse.
Yeah.
And mind you, I'm a Packers fan. I hate the Bears. So
yeah. And I'm a Washington fan, and I think that logic makes perfect sense. In the case of if we both agree this is going to be an ugly game between two ugly teams, then you just take the big plus money, right? I don't hate that logic at all. For me, it just comes down to like garbage time. And we know so many of these quarterbacks, even bad quarterbacks. The most famous one I can remember is Blake Bortles being like an ATS legend because of garbage time. He just marched down the field and convert those touchdowns. If the Bears are trailing in this game, I legit don't trust Justin Fields to be able to do that, which is kind of scary, right? Given their offensive situation over there. So for that reason, I kind of can't take them. Like if you're down a touchdown and you can't move the ball down the field, that's a big problem, right? And he's just such a wild card. He could also break off a 75-yard run because our slow, 250-pound linebackers can't catch him. So that's always a concern as well. But I think we're generally on the same page right here. I just think Washington ends up kind of covering in a little bit of ugly fashion, whether it's a late interception or something like that.
Good. I'm glad that we agree on it in some way, shape, or form here. So we got some guys in the chat already. Let's pop them in there. No one knows the Commanders as much as Stu makes it easy to play it. Brian Robinson Masterclass. Hey, I don't mind that, but I'm going to a guy that I made money with a long time ago, and I'm hoping that he remembers me. Hopefully he's watching the show on this short week, and he comes out here like, hey, give me that money, baby. Let's go. So, Stu, this game's so fucking gross. Just take it away, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to start out with Brian Robinson over 63.5 rushing yards minus 115 over on MGM, DraftKings, Caesars, all those spots right now. Already seen it up to 65.5 on FanDuel, and that does not surprise me. I expect it to continue to move in that direction. Before the week started, I always try to make a list of all the guys I'm looking for and what numbers I think they should be at. If it was up to me, I'm setting this line at 69.5, 70.5, and I would think it would probably close at 71.5 still, because I think people are going to go at Brian Robinson today, really no matter what the number was. And I think that's kind of fair because so far this year, Brian Robinson's usage has been really good. He's third in the league via FTN's utilization reports, 73% of total running back opportunities on the season thus far. And that's in some pretty negative game scripts as well, right? The biggest thing that's impressed me is, one, he's looked better. I was Brian Robinson's biggest critic last season. If you watch me, I was constantly infuriated with the unpredictable play calling, we have to run the ball on 1st and 10 every single time we get it. This year, we have a much more balanced plan of attack. It's, in fact, one of the most pass-heavy plans of attack, or, they're second in pass rate over expectation to this point in the season, which is pretty incredible. We did not expect this to be a pass-heavy offense. But what I liked last week was obviously they were the most balanced they'd been all year long. They ran the ball 26 total times against Philadelphia last week, which is the most any team has ran the ball against Philadelphia all year. And despite the fact that Brian Robinson didn't go over this number, he had a very respectable outing. I've watched all of Philly's games so far. Him putting up that 45 rushing yards, that was a solid performance to me against such a strong defensive line, especially given the state of their offensive line. So to me, everything was trending in the right direction before last week. I planned on betting him. It was funny. When I watched him 2 weeks ago, I said, I'm going to bet Brian Robinson no matter what, no matter who they play next week. And then I saw the Eagles and I went, never mind. That's a step too far, right? That's a really good run defense. You do not want to fuck with the Eagles. It's the same way we've talked about Tampa Bay in the past, right? Don't fuck with them. Just cross it off, go to receptions, go other things. For me, it's much different now that we're in this Bears matchup, which is susceptible through the air, on the ground, in pretty much any way. What I want to focus on is tackling right here. They're a bottom 5 tackling unit dating back to last season. This year, they're a bottom 3 tackling unit so far, and that's with some big money free agent additions in the linebacker room. It's clearly not helping so far. Brian Robinson has been great through contact this year. He's very good. He's one of those kind of old school running backs that always gives you that next extra 1 or 2 yards at the end of every carry. I think he's going to break a couple tackles in this one, should have some opportunities for downfield rushing. And finally, I haven't even talked about game script. I expect them to be leading in this game, which is not something they've been able to do all year long. Brian Robinson has been hitting this number from behind all season, right? When they've been trailing and having to come back. Now that they should be in a more positive game script, we saw the most balanced plan of attack last year that we saw all year, which makes a lot of sense when your quarterback those 4 interceptions the week before. I expect that to happen again. I think we see 26-ish total team rush attempts. I think Brian Robinson should make up 15 to 18 of those. I think that's more than enough to put him over this number in a very soft matchup.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I'm just going to go with mine. All right, I'm just going to go with my play just so I don't have to, kind of play around with it a little too much here. I'm going to be going to the other running back here, and I'm going to Antonio Gibson, longest reception. It's sitting at 8.5 on DraftKings right now. And one of the things I want to talk about is exactly what you said, right? We see Brian Robinson a lot when they're up, right? We see that happen. So I looked at Brian Robinson's top 2 games, right, in terms of rush attempts, and that was Denver and Arizona and 2 wins, right? 18 carries, 19 carries in those games, obviously very good for your bet. But Antonio Gibson hit this number in both of those games. He had a 36-yard catch and a 10-yard catch. He has another 10-yard catch in game 3, right? So what I do like is we have seen outside of last week, obviously outside of last week where the Eagles kind of, they put the clamps on the backs a little bit on both, at least in terms of efficiency, right? We saw 35% of touches there in week 1, 48% of snap share in week 2, some up to 60 in week 3, and then last week obviously down to 39%. So he is out there, right? About 40% of the time he's going to be out there. Might be a little bit higher now that a little bit higher towards Brian Robinson towards the end of the game here, but I've watched this Bears team 3 times. They get absolutely fucking torched by running back catches. I saw Aaron Jones, right? We go for 50. Aaron Jones had a 50-yard catch. The slowest and the worst running back in football, A.J. Dillon, 12-yard catch on these guys. That is embarrassing. You give up a 12-yard catch to A.J. Dillon, that is embarrassing. You should feel bad about yourself. Rashad White hit this number. Jerick McKinnon hit this number, right? We just saw your boy McLaughlin just hit this number against him. Samaje Perine in the same game hit this number against him, right? So it's hit by everybody. But every single person is hitting this number as a running back against these guys. And the biggest opportunity is going to be coming hopefully on Thursday night. You're on a little shorter week. Maybe you throw him out there in more spots where he's going to get the ball, right? Because these spots on Thursday night have been weird, right? They've just been weird in terms of what's been happening. And if I get 4 out of 10 snaps with Antonio Gibson out there and, we get a couple 1-2 dump offs, he's hit this already this year on 1 target because he fumbled in that game. And then they just pulled him, right? But he hit it. He hit it and he fumbled, right? So that's what I'm saying. This is only 8.5 yards. He's hit it in 3 out of 4. Every single running back has hit it against these guys, right? So it's not like I'm asking for anything crazy. Just catch the ball, run 9 yards, and get the hell off the field. I don't really care. But I do have to start you in fantasy with this week. So that is disgusting in its own right because I have like 9 buys. But I do really like this spot. Obviously, a 100% hit rate by every other running back. But you talked about their tackling is fucking awful. Like, they can't tackle anybody. Like, it doesn't matter if it's Brian Robinson. It doesn't matter if it's A.J. Dillon running 2 miles an hour, right? They just can't tackle anybody. So if we get any sort of space, which is what you're putting Gibson out there for, right, to make plays in space, dump it off, Sam Howell. I know you don't like to do it, but just dump it off. Let Antonio Gibson get a little catch, and then bring in Brian Robinson as a sledgehammer, right? That's fine. Just got to get a catch for 10 yards, 9 yards, and I'll be happy. So I really like this spot. I don't want to play volume plays with Antonio Gibson because you just don't know how much he's going to touch the ball. But 3 out of 4 games, every other game, the Bears have given it up. I'm going to roll with Antonio Gibson, longest reception. This is on DraftKings only right now.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, like, when you look at a guy like Antonio Gibson, like you said, the biggest holdup is obviously like snaps and just total opportunities, right? But like you said, this is also happens to be, I think, the best matchup you can get. Like, I truly think this is probably the best matchup you can get right here. And the thing I really like about it too, or the thing I like the most at least, is that he has a lockdown on really the high value targets in this like running back room, right? Because what we want to look at really, when we talk about rushing back, sure, what we really want to look at is 3rd down usage and then 2-minute drill usage, right? That's when these receptions are stacked up, because not only is normally when you're using your running back on 3rd down, it's not a 3rd and short, right? It's a 3rd and long. So you're getting these prevent defenses, you're getting these deeper safeties. It's the same thing on these 2-minute drills, which means, right, when Washington has 3rd and 10 and we commit our 18th false start penalty of the season and it goes to 3rd and 15, our coach is going to go, I don't want my quarterback who threw 4 interceptions a couple weeks ago throwing all these 50-50 balls, especially when we have the lead, which I'm assuming we will, or I'm hoping we will. At least the Vegas line is telling us that. So in those situations, you're going to see a lot of kind of, I don't want to, it's
soft defenses.
Yeah, I was gonna make fun of the play calling, use some words. But either way, taking the check down on 3rd and 15 is not something I enjoy watching as a fan, but is something that I see happening a couple times in this game, where Washington's put in these 3rd and long situations, going against these soft defenses, and they choose not to take a shot downfield because they know they have the lead, or they're going against Justin Fields. They trust their defense. So I think there are going to be a couple good opportunities for Gibson right here. Like you said, I like how he's been breaking tackles this year. He looks athletic when he doesn't fumble the ball. So I like the spot. I'm a little worried about total opportunities, but I do see a pretty clear path to cashing this.
Yeah, and it's two dudes, right? Chris Rodriguez played like 3% of snaps week 1, 2% week 2. We haven't seen him. He hasn't touched the ball, right? So it's straight 50-50, right? It's straight 50-50 on, or not straight like snaps, but he's going to be out there every time Brian Robinson is not out there, right? So that's what I'm saying, right? And this might be one of those games where you try to feature the backs a little bit more, especially on a short week. In a game, you got to win. You got to win this one.
Yeah, and I also will say, if Curtis Samuel is limited, which he's questionable, he had an injury in practice this week, that would be huge for this. That would make this one of the best bets you can make, I think. If Curtis Samuel plays a reduced snap count, they're using Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson in essentially the same role. They just like Curtis Samuel more, so he's running more downfield routes. But if he's out, then that kind of gadget usage in the playbook will go to Antonio Gibson, which would actually be huge.
I love to hear that, baby. I love to hear that. Obviously, we got the Washington fan here, which is good. If you just said, "Hey, this bet sucks," I'd have to think about it a little bit. But at least we got a little bit of
I just hate Antonio Gibson. I mean, if you've watched the show, the fumbles just pissed me off. I mean, I know we were going to lose that Bills game, but like you get one drive that's good in the first half. And Buddy, it's frustrating, but the pass catching usage is undeniable. That is his thing since he was drafted, right? And like we kind of talked about, this is the matchup. The Bears are the matchup.
Hopefully, Bieniemy can bring us something special. Give me a little bit of that underneath, little shovel pass. Get them around the outside. Hey, I take those. Those 2-inch passes. Hey, they count as a completion. I'll take them.
I just want to say it. I know this is happening on 3rd and 15. Like, I know he is cashing a check down 11-yard pass where he goes out of bounds a couple yards before the line of scrimmage. I know it. Like, I know he cashes this on 3rd. Maybe it's not 15. Maybe it's 20. Maybe we take back-to-back false start penalties. I just want to get that on record so we can go back to this little clip once it happens. Because I swear, if it goes over, it's happening on one of those plays.
First play of the game, Antonio Gibson screen 70-yard catch. That's what I'm hoping.
That would be awesome. That'd be better. That'd be way better.
All right, thank God. Let's wipe our hands clean of this awful game of football that we're about to watch here.
We got some questions.
Awful. Oh, God. No, I meant like for our props. Like I can now just flush this game from my memory. But longest reception for Gibson is -108 on FanDuel. Oh, I did not see them on FanDuel. It must have just came out because I did check this morning. I didn't see any of the longest reception props.
I don't either. I don't know what's going on FanDuel right now, but I don't know, because someone else asked something earlier. Did you see, what do you think about these alt receptions on FanDuel? They're not up on my app.
It must be statewide because I'm looking at Illinois one and it ain't showing me much.
You have it up right now? Yeah, okay. I had it before the show because people were texting me about it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Let me see what the alt receptions are. And they're not there for me. So I heard like guys in Colorado have them, some of these other states. I don't know. But if you have them, that's dope. I definitely think that's a good way to build these parlays. We've talked about it before. But yeah, we don't seem to have them right now, which kind of sucks. Hopefully that changes in the next couple hours. Maybe it's a slow rollout. Maybe I need to update something. I don't know.
All right, we still got 35 of you guys in here. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. Let's get to some questions on this game. We have IG and MSA talking about some Fields props. Fields longest completion under 34.5. That one's a little bit sketchy to me. I think that you're going to get torched a little bit.
I don't like
Davis, baby. Gabe Davis.
Yeah. I like the over. This is one of those two where I watched the Commanders game last week and I went, no matter who the quarterback is, I'm going to bet the longest completion over. And then I looked and I saw it's Justin Fields and I was like, that kind of sucks. But I still think I'm going to bet the over because it's happened every week so far this year. Washington is consistently being beat deep downfield, especially my guy Emmanuel Forbes, who's drafted in the first round. They're going after this rookie. For that even same reason, I think I'm going to sprinkle on his interception. It was 13-1 last week. That's kind of a crazy number. I know the Justin Fields effect will bring it down a little bit, but I do think a rookie, even if he's not performing bad, they're targeting him more. That's good for us, right? He has 4 pass breakups on the season, 1 dropped interception. So that's a little off the little sprinkle for you guys right there. But for this play, the thing about Justin Fields, dating back to last year, still top 5 in air yards per attempt. Even though the problem with Justin Fields is the consistency. The one thing he has in his game is he has a solid deep ball. Even throughout the season, we've seen him have a couple good connections. We've had him have a couple near misses with DJ Moore stepping out, Chase Claypool stepping out. The deep ball is the one solid part of his game. The problem is he can't complete a 10-yard completion over the middle where he has to read more than one guy, right? That's the problem here. We can't slowly move the ball down the field. The long shot, that's the one thing he's kind of got going. And that's the one thing the Washington defense is getting smoked on so far this year. So for me, I actually do kind of like the longest completion, but that's probably the only passing related one I'm going to be playing.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's even in college, right? He had a good deep ball in college even too as well. So, yeah, you got all receptions in Tennessee. He has it. But Fields over 47.5 rushing yards. Oh, that's a tough line, especially with the less designed runs. Obviously, the Kansas City game, he got 47 exactly on 11 carries. You'd have to assume Washington's trying to keep him in the pocket, run that spy, right?
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this because I want to bet the over. Like the Washington linebackers are not good. They've allowed an explosive run to all the mobile quarterbacks they face. We saw Josh Allen have 2 easy 20-yard runs during that game. Like I don't know if Jalen Hurts, he had like a 12 or 13 yarder. I don't think he went over this last week, which is a good note, I guess, right there. But my problem is just Fields. He might have to continue to kind of rely on his explosiveness in the run game. That's what I'd assume they'd be leading more into. And I mean, I think you can break a Cody Barton tackle out there. Jamin Davis is a broken tackle machine so far. Guy can't bring anyone down by himself. And then another concern, just as someone that's super into it, is Chase Young is playing like the NFL version of hero ball on the defensive line. He's not playing team-oriented football. The guy is running as far out to the side as possible and trying to get to the quarterback. He's not setting the edge at all, which means there's a wide open hole on like half of our, when Chase Young doesn't make it to the quarterback, there's a wide open hole on the right side of our defensive line because he's not playing team football right now, right? He's going out there and trying to get these sacks, which is very frustrating. If you watch back the all 22, he pretty much single-handedly allowed the DeAndre Swift touchdown in yesterday's game. It's one of those situations where there'll be opportunity. So for that reason, I like longest rush instead of total rush yards. I think he breaks a good rush in this game at some point.
Good looks there. That is all the questions I'm seeing for this game. So now I can officially flush it out of my head and head on over to week 5. Already crazy we're there, but we're going into our fantasy conundrum of the week, right? We're trying to make sure we get these in every time because you guys might have pretty similar ones. If you guys have one, make sure you drop them in the chat. We want to make sure we're getting to all of your fantasy questions, DFS questions. And hopefully we can make some money and get you guys some wins. This is a tough week. A lot of buys this week. So this is going to be piecing together some stuff. You got 2 dudes that I did not expect to see in a flex position here. But your team must be halfway decent if you're rolling Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor.
No, my team sucks. Breece Hall, he's been an issue this year, obviously. But now we just read he is apparently unleashed, right? There's no more snap count on him. I'm hoping that means he carries the ball every single time this game because I don't want to sit anywhere Dalvin Cook. I assume that's not actually going to happen. But increased workload is good. We have a great matchup. Then I got freaking Jonathan Taylor, who's coming back out of nowhere in arguably the worst matchup in the league, right? So it's like, do I start the guy that has fucked me over, essentially, so far this year, which isn't really fully his fault, on a terrible offense in a great matchup? Or do I start a guy who I have a lot of belief in this year? I think is one of the best running backs in the league, but it's his first start back, and he's got a terrible matchup. Like, it feels like one of those where I'm going to get roasted for sitting Jonathan Taylor, right, when he inevitably scores 2 touchdowns or whatever. But I got to start Breece Hall, right?
I would start Breece Hall, dude. I mean, especially with that news coming out, Dalvin Cook is absolute dust. That boy is trash. Why the fuck is he on the field, dude? Why is Breece Hall only touching the ball 9 times? They should be giving this dude 15 carries a game, dude. He is so explosive, and hopefully you get a little bit more space out there on the edge for Garrett Wilson when you know he's getting that 50% target share. Back shoulder fade, baby. Rolling those back shoulder fades to freaking what's his face? Conklin. Tyler Conklin's getting back shoulder fades now. Zach Wilson, baby. Zach Wilson time. Now it's going to be Breece Hall time here. He's against Denver. You kind of have to play him.
Yeah, that's how I feel. It's just like I know it's going to be one of those where I start Breece Hall and then Jonathan Taylor has 2 touchdowns and like some dork fantasy analyst is like, this is why you start your studs, like blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to get, I'm going to feel like shit after that. But that's fantasy football at the end of the day. And I agree. I think Breece Hall probably is the way to go right here. It's just been like, also, once again, Zach Wilson can't complete a check down. I've never seen someone miss more check downs in my life. Zach Wilson has a better deep ball than he does check down, which is a concern in the NFL, right? When you can't check the ball down, that's very bad. And that does hurt Breece Hall right here. But had to get a little bit more Zach Wilson slander in since you tried to compliment him again for whatever reason.
Dude, he is about to absolutely cook this week, bro. I'm excited to watch Zach Wilson out there, bro. Maybe it was just because all of those famous girls were out there in the box out there, right? You got Blake Lively out there, Taylor Swift. He's like, hey, put on that show. I live in New York. Got to do my thing. Maybe he sucks now the rest of the year. Only in home games he cooks. Maybe that's what it is. But you never know. I'm on that mini hype train for a week or so. So I'm sure he'll fall off a cliff here soon. So I'm going to Joe Burrow again because this dude sucks, and I don't know if I should start him, even though I put that capital in. I got Stafford. Someone dropped Stafford. I think they were trying to get Stroud, so I ended up getting Stafford. Am I just stupid? Am I just buying into Burrow too long? Should I just sit this dude on his ass? Because he's been absolute trash. But he's got Arizona.
Yeah, I think the problem, though, is Stafford is such a good replacement this week. Like, Stafford is in one of the highest total games there is, right, against a secondary that just allowed 30 points to Sam Howell, who threw 4 interceptions the previous week. To me, like, Stafford, I talked about the overall week. The over is one of my favorite spots. I bet at 46.5 on Sunday night. It's 50 now. For good reason. It should have never been in the 40s. This is an all-offense game. The Rams' defense sucks. The Eagles are easily going to go over their team total. I'm not sure what it is. I would hope it's maybe a little bit of a more generous number, maybe 27.5 instead of 28.5. I'll probably play the Eagles team total 100% this week. So for me, high scoring game, right? I think Stafford's just the way better play. But Burrow, Arizona obviously is a good matchup as well. But for me, it's one of those where like the injury stuff, I can't really back Burrow this week. I especially when you have a good replacement. If you had Mitch Trubisky or whatever, then yeah, sure, start Joe Burrow. But Matthew Stafford is in a very good matchup this week.
All right, that makes it a little easier for me. It's tough click when you draft this dude in like the 5th round. He's just been absolute garbage, bro. And we got a couple guys dropping in their fantasy conundrum of the week. Jordan Love or Patrick Mahomes. This is crazy because, like I told you, Jordan Love's been actually putting up decent fantasy numbers because they start so slow in games. They start so bad. If they would just cut A.J. Dillon, I would say this is a lock for Jordan Love, but they still have him on the roster. So makes me have to think about it a little bit because he's going to get at least 12 carries running the ball straight up the middle and getting nothing. So it's just how can you bench? You can't sit Mahomes in any matchup against the Vikings, bro. Like this is fantasy gold. Yeah. But also, this is like a fun little run back game too because you're gonna have Jay Jetta on the other side. This is gonna be probably the most exposed fantasy game for sure in DFS. Even though I do really like that Rams game with, I don't think Cooper Kupp's coming back, right? Cooper Kupp's not back this week.
He's officially off the pup, but I don't think he's even going to play. I don't think he's going to play at all. So yeah, I mean, I got to go Mahomes in this one. I mean, yeah, I not even that. Like, I had to look at the Packers matchup because I hadn't seen it yet.
These are playing the Raiders in Vegas.
Yeah. So that's I guess why Raiders obviously are a very nice matchup. Yeah, exactly. Very bad on defense, but I mean, it's Mahomes against the Vikings. Like he's probably, and I don't read fantasy rankings. Most guys probably have him as a top 2 or 3 quarterback this week, I'd assume, in their fantasy rank. So no way you can sit Patrick Mahomes in an elite matchup, especially with Jordan Love on the other side.
Or how about we just cut Pacheco, bro? The dude just runs fucking 30 times now. The dude gets
I might bet Pacheco also. Pacheco rocks. He's been killing it.
I have an interesting scenario. I could run a stack here with Fields Moore or a Richardson Pittman stack. Which one do you like better? Obviously, Fields being on Thursday night kind of complicates things because it's gonna be interesting. Is there? I'm assuming the rest of your team is probably locked in then, or you would just start more with them, right? You would start more no matter what, or you start Pittman no matter what. It's just gonna run the quarterback, I would assume, unless you're like team is absolutely fucking loaded and you're benching Michael Pittman or benching Moore. So I think this is kind of fitting on those quarterbacks. Who would you rather have here and matching up their wide receiver with?
I think it's probably Richardson, Pittman. I just think the Fields Moore one, the upside is a little bit capped. Like I really can't see this game tonight, both teams scoring over 24 points. You know, I don't see this being I see this a 24-20 if that, right, kind of game. So for me, I have a hard time betting on the upside right there. Richardson, the thing about Richardson is I don't have a strong take on this game. Like this is going to be one we learn so much in because it's a game where the running game is going to be not taken away, but it's going to be significantly harder than it has been any other week. So now we're really going to be tested. What can Anthony Richardson consistently do through the air? Obviously, great comeback win last week. He completed 7 passes in the first half, though, right? There was a reason they were down by so much in that game. He also does rank out as the worst passer in the league by completion percentage over expectation, which is the same stat that kind of really pushed me over the edge on being so low on Deshaun Watson before the season started. So that does have concerns to me. He's overcompensating for the passing game with the running game a lot and with some great explosive plays. So how does that translate to this week? I don't know. I think it could be a huge success, and this could be Richardson's breakout week, or it could be a reality call on a rookie against a tough matchup. So that one's so 50-50 that I think I just got to trust the boomer bust because I would not. I don't know about you. I have Richardson on some teams. Missing out on a 40-point Richardson week does not sound good to me. And I think that's on the table, right, if we connect on some of those deep bombs this week. So for me, I'd probably play that side. But I don't know. DJ Moore is so inconsistent. I think for me, it's easily Pittman over Moore. It's honestly just Fields or Richardson, and I'd go Richardson probably.
Awesome. This is a tough one. Kev bringing out 3. He needs to start 2. Nico the GOAT, baby. Jalen Waddle and Puka. I mean, you can't bench Puka, right? I mean, it's impossible at this point. This dude's target share is absurd.
That's tough. You have a good team.
I mean, if this dude, I mean, he almost. Who the fuck's your flex? Who are you flexing right now, dude?
I'd go Waddle Puka, I think. I like Nico a lot. Nothing against that, but that game just has a wider range of outcomes, in my opinion. So for me, Waddle Puka, pretty easy, I think. Although I guess the concern with Waddle is they get ahead and he doesn't have to.
11.5-point favorite.
But yeah, they also don't take the foot off the gas, though. They're kind of like the Bills. They keep on going, which is fun for fantasy points. So benching Waddle's crazy. Like just not having him, if you drafted him in the second, third round, like it's going to feel real bad if you bench him this week. And Nico Collins doesn't have a spectacular enough matchup for me to that, be a deciding factor. It's close. You have an awesome team. I don't think you can go wrong, but I'd go Puka Waddle.
Yeah, I'm a Nico stan, as you know, from the week 1. I've been betting Nico every game, and I have him too. So I have Nico starting in my flex at the moment, but I'm also rolling Jay Jetta and Chris Olave in my 2 spots. Actually, that's my fun team. That's the team that is going to be rolling Antonio Gibson at my fucking number 2. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough week there. Stu, DFS. Let's get the DFS spots out of here, and we'll get you guys on your way. 25 of you guys still in here live with us. Hit that like button. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's start with high end, and I'll kick it over to you to start.
Yeah, I mean, David Montgomery, I think, is in an awesome spot this week. This Panthers run defense, I think I was overrating them a little myself, too. But, I mean, after last week, even Alexander Mattison having a good performance on the ground, being able to dominate, consistently move the chains. This is a team, I just talked about my Commanders surprisingly being a top 5 pass rate over expectation team. This is a bottom 5 pass rate over expectation team in the Lions. Dan Campbell loves to pound the rock. He likes to establish the run. We saw this last year with 2 different backs. They're running it back this year, although it's almost more centralized on David Montgomery so far. I mean, as the whole world melts down about Jahmyr Gibbs tackles, David Montgomery has just got his 22nd carry of the game. So I like the volume. I like that he instantly came back from injury and carried that kind of volume, which even shocked me. That was
he didn't even practice. He didn't even practice. He gets 30 carries, bro.
That was cool. I thought that was like a multi-week injury. I thought, like, when I saw him go down, I was like, oh, we might not see Monty for a couple weeks. And I've got him on some teams as well. But I like it. I like how much of the first, second, and third down runs he has. I mean, if Jahmyr Gibbs is getting the ball, it's essentially one of these check downs or kind of longer scrimmage yard plays. But I think they're going to have control of the clock. They're heavy favorites in this one. They're going to be pounding the rock a lot. And that defense showed absolutely nothing last week. And guess who's got a lock on red zone touches? Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't have a red zone carry or a red zone target so far this year. So it's David Montgomery show in the red zone, outside the red zone. Good matchup right here. I'm going to have a lot of David Montgomery this week.
Yeah, David Montgomery was on my bench last week, so that was disgusting. Luckily got the win, but it was disgusting. Guess who's starting both of these two guys on their actual year-long fantasy team? That's your boy here. I'm rolling Bijan Robinson. Houston, obviously fantastic matchup. 2-point favorites. Obviously, I think that's going to obviously help there for him. But, dude, I just love the workload that we're starting to see him get. We just saw him against Jacksonville, which is, in my opinion, a little bit tougher, probably a lot tougher than this matchup against Houston. 14 carries, 105, right? 5 catches. He's getting the targets. Absolutely love that in a point PPR league, obviously, on DraftKings. So that's obviously something we want to get. But what I do want to talk about is, so far this season, 4.2 yards before contact. Obviously, that's when he gets the ball. Does not mean he's 4 yards on the field. That's just from where he gets the ball to get in there, which is one of the top 10 in the NFL. Atlanta knows how to run block. Pass blocking, a little bit different. They're not as good as pass blocking as they are at run blocking. But obviously, Bijan can make anybody miss, dude. And what I like about this is it doesn't matter if it's running or it's receiving, because this dude makes plays happen everywhere. Just, dude, the amount of targets this guy is getting, 6 last week, 5 or 6 2 weeks ago, 5 the week before, 5 that next week, before that going week 2 against the Packers. He just cooked us every single way. Just makes everybody miss. 7,700 just seems so cheap, because if I'm spending up for Justin Jefferson, that's 9,400, right? You're telling me Bijan's going to lose to Justin Jefferson? He's not worth $1,700. Like, that's a huge drop off here. And with the weekend, so many buys, right? You got no Jerome Ford out there. You got Austin Eckler not out there. All those high end backs are not in the pool this week. Obviously, no Aaron Jones, right? Because he's going to be on Monday night. There's a lot of big backs that are definitely out this week, and I really want to go to Bijan here. I'm sure he's going to be chalky, but that's why we're going to be talking about our guys that we want to roll with here for cheap, because we got to get a little different.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything you said, I mean, how cool is it to have a running back that has like a baseline of like, he just has the 6+ fantasy points from the receiving game alone. Like, the guy has a floor of 3 catches for 25 yards. He goes into a game with that, right? So having that as just an ungodly safe floor, and then the potential to have 18-20 carries in this one, I definitely love the talent right here. Bijan's, he's so close to one of these crazy slate breaking games. I know it's happening soon, and I want to be on the side of Bijan as well. So definitely be mixing and matching some Bijan this week, especially with what you said, a lack of high-end talent at the running back position.
Yeah, Saquon's top, right, 8,100.
Pass.
But then you go down, right? You go Joe Mixon against Arizona, hasn't done much, 6,400. Then you have Mostert, A-Chain, right? 2 guys on the same team, both at over 6K. Kamara, hopefully, not hoping for an injury here, bro, but let's just get Derek Carr off the fucking field. My God. Disgusting. Hopefully they just double team Kamara and just watch Derek Carr just stand there for 5 seconds, just get smoked every play because he can't throw the ball. So I might be throwing a little Jameis Winston love out there, baby. Let's get him out there. Throw a pick 6 and then go right back out there and chuck a bomb. That's what I want to see, baby. Sign me up for that. But yeah, there's just not that many, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, 5,900. Huge timeshare. Zach Moss falling off a cliff now that Taylor's back, right? The only other guy up there is Derrick Henry, who's going to get some lump this week because he just nukes in Indianapolis. So hopefully enough of it goes off and we don't have as much on Bijan. I'm expecting probably 20-30% though, of people wanting to click that Bijan Robinson name.
Yeah, I think Henry will be the most owned, and then I think A-Chain might be the second most now that I think about it. Like, that's kind of crazy to even say out loud, but I think people might go crazy on A-Chain, especially with them being such big favorites, right? He had the 4 touchdown game when they were dominating. So that'll be interesting. I don't know what to do with him, but we'll figure that out.
6 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Tough to ignore. Now we're going dumpster diving, boys and girls. It's going way down there. Stu, take it away.
Yeah, we were just talking about this a little bit earlier. I like Josh Downs at the bottom at 37. And I even like his teammate Alec Pierce as well at the very bottom of the barrel in terms of pricing so far. We talked about Richardson earlier. For me, I'd be a little more scared in season long for Richardson, but for me in DFS this week, he is a full go for the same reason I said earlier. This is the chance we get to see that explosive passing, to see those 50-yard bombs that we saw in preseason, because that's every way that every team has attacked the Titans so far, right? You can't run on them. It's very hard to sustain drives that way. You need to attack downfield. That's why they've had so many problems with explosive plays over the last couple of years. Anthony Richardson has had explosive plays and then been arguably, or I mean, not arguably, by the numbers, bad on every other play. So it's like, does he have enough explosive plays to sustain a win right here? Is the accuracy going to be an issue? Because he's had some awesome throws, and then he's had some throws that are just like the kind of easy ones that you want to see a guy make that you're kind of like disappointed in. So for me, this profiles as a real boomer bust week. And that's what we're doing when we're playing DFS. We're trying to win $1 million freaking dollars, right? You got to play some of these uglier names, especially like you said. I don't want to play a $3,000 running back this week because all the good ones are out. So you need to pay up at running back this week for, the most part, at least. Even if you're avoiding Derrick Henry, it's still expensive to talk about the guys we just did. So you got to get some salary relief down here. I think the Richardson, Downs, Pierce is going to be an unknown stack. Most people are just going to go right to Pittman. I see why, but I like the downfield usage for Downs. Even though the low ADOT gives you a nice, 3-4 catches, he's had a couple 30-yard plays so far this year. He had great yak numbers in college. And this is a team that you want to have great yak numbers against, plenty of broken tackles to go around in this Titans secondary. So I like Downs. I like Pierce. I like the little sneaky, cheap guys on the Colts.
Good now? Yeah, no, I don't hate it. Yeah, dogs, hey, shout out to your dog coming through these last couple of weeks, maybe last couple of times. I like that we're both not going into that Kansas City, Minnesota game because that's the game that's going to get all the love, right? That's the game you're going to see a lot of Pacheco. You're going to see a lot of these guys getting run back, which is fine. But what I do like is I like Wan'Dale Robinson, bro. This dude is min price, $3K, 11 targets last 2 weeks. They are 11-point dogs this week, which I love. I don't even need a run back because you just don't know who's going to score that much for Miami because they got so many guys, so many mouths to feed. What I do know is Wan'Dale Robinson's played 2 weeks, 11 targets, right? That's all I need. I need 3 to 4 catches this week. That's it. That's it for him to get that little fire emoji right next to his name. That's all I need, right? Give me 3 catches, 40 yards, right? 7 points at 3K, I'll take it. I'm obviously would like a little 20 piece if I want to win the millie, but I think at this price, it allows you to open up Mahomes if you want to go. It allows you to open up Jay Jetta. It lets you get Bijan in there pretty easily, right? And you still are able to pay up at a lot of other positions, right? If you're trying to roll Montgomery Robinson, right, that's going to cost you a little bit. But 3K and 3,700, these guys can definitely find their way into the lineup and make some money with.
Yeah, I agree. At first, I told you when we talked about this briefly before, I saw Wan'Dale on my waiver. I was kind of like, whatever, really, Wan'Dale. And then we was like, oh shit, this is the Dolphins, right? And this is a team that we talk about, Fangio, deep safeties. They allow a lot over the middle. Same with the 49ers. That's by design. That's not an accident. They'd rather you nickel and dime them down the field. What do we know about Daniel Jones? That was their path to success last year. It was nickeling and diming teams down the field, slowly checking the ball down, low ADOT, lowest air yards per reception out of any quarterback in the league last year. That's great for a gimmicky kind of, I don't want to say gimmicky, but he's kind of the Kadarius Toney replacement in this offense. And you're going to get some creative usage. So for me, I do like Wan'Dale. I'm surprised he's this cheap. He was the 3rd in routes run last week. He had 8 the week before that. He's going to be a full-time guy in this team now. This number is not priced like that quite yet.
Yeah, definitely worse places you can go at min price, dude. 3K is wild, man. To see a guy with this much production, this much opportunity share, get that little bit of love, man. DK, what you doing? Messing up a little bit, dude. You're telling me Darius Slayton deserves to be $900 more than this guy? Right? You're telling me Isaiah Hodgins should be $1,400 more than this guy? Come on now. I like it. Sign me up for some Wan'Dale. Let's do a quick recap here and get these guys out of here. Trying to stay under that hour because Friday's going to be a banger. We got to make sure we get you guys in here and out here.
Yep. Over on Thursday Night Football, we're going Brian Robinson over 61.5 rush yards, -115 over on DraftKings.
And then I'll be rolling Antonio Gibson over 8.5, longest reception at -125. heading over to our DK plays and our conundrum of the week. I'll be rolling with Bijan Robinson 7,700 and Wan'Dale Robinson at 3K. Also, your boy Stafford's finding his way to that lineup. Stu, let's take away your favorite spots here for the week.
Yeah, we're going David Montgomery, someone I'm going to be very heavy on the DFS this week. Make sure to get those anytime touchdowns and ASAP as well, because that's going to get juice. It's going to be minus 200 by the end of the week. And then for cheap, I love your Wan'Dale Robinson call. That was great. I like the cheap guys on the Colts. I like Josh Downs, and I like a little bit of Alec Pierce as well. So that's what I'm going with for my cheap sleepers in DFS this week.
All right, Stu, I'm just going to throw one at you because I like making a little fun here to finish. I'm looking at DK right now, 7,500 price tag here. We got 7,500 Derrick Henry, 7,600 Travis Kelce. Which one are you playing if you had a gun to your head right now?
Derrick Henry, I'd play the chalk right there. I'm not really big on playing the expensive tight ends, to be honest. And Kelce hasn't had that same Kelce-esque performance yet. And to be honest, I don't think they need it yet, right? This is a team that's trying to win a championship. They're not trying to dominate the Vikings or whatever in week 5. So for me, I think Kelce is just going to keep on chilling, keep on getting back into the offense, and going to be a guy that is not at his full force until a little bit later in the season when they open up the playbook. The only counter I would say to this argument is simply a game theory play of the whole world is going to be on Derrick Henry. Like the whole world is going to be on Derrick Henry. Like you said, I'm going to see 1,000 of those stats posts, the StatMuse page, where you get to see how many rush yards he's had in the past, and people are going to go there. But I still like him if just pure points. It's Derrick Henry for
me. Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you guys Friday. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when we go live here on the channel. We appreciate you. Best of luck, and let's catch a couple bets here on some Thursday Night Football.